Shoot, Ray. What do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.
Are you ready? It's time!
Welcome back to another Thursday night episode of Software Explorations. We are going to get into it today. Tonight, we're going to be focusing on last time, or 2 weeks ago, where we were manually setting up the API documentation. Tonight, we're going to try to implement the auto generation of API documentation. I know so many people who they absolutely hate documentation, but documentation is so important. So we're going to get into it again tonight so that we can see how we can get it to work right. How can we get it to act right? We're going to give it some act right tonight. So let's get started. First and foremost, you know how we like to do. We like to get started with our housekeeping for the night, where we thank everyone. And I'm just going to throw this up on the screen, right? Let's get started this way, right? So housekeeping for tonight, our gratitude, and our show schedule. So first and foremost, I want to say thank you so much to the newest subscribers of the channel. You are helping us grow rapidly. I hope that I am able to deliver to you great value in all the content that we put out, from our clips from the Q&A show, our live streams, our pre-recorded content throughout we're going to get into those to that schedule. But I just wanted to, so hopefully I'm able to add great value to you, and that I just thank you for subscribing. Thank you to all the newest subscribers. Thank you to the people who've been subscribed for a very, very long time. Thank you for the people who talk to me on the back end and give me like so much insight and context and ideas to create content. Shout out to my guy Yakar already in the chat, who supports me so much. I can't even talk about the amount of support that I get from him and the work that we do together, the brainstorming, the strategizing, and just to add, he has so much other things going on as well. So I just, to start off, I want to say thank you so much to your car. Other people might bring up your name talking about, they're not appreciating you, but know this. I
appreciate you.
Only DJ Khaled could share how much I appreciate all your help and support. All right. So just wanted to say thank you. And of course, Mitch and Mr. Lot. Did you guys check out the data engineering video? That was inspired. I was inspired to do that because of Mitch, because of Mr. Lot, because of McColl's Wellness in Motion. All of them, all my data people, I really like that. That one is dedicated to you guys. That video is dedicated to you guys. All right. So just wanted to share that gratitude. And then of course, I can't forget, shout out to the Tech Barbarians, to the Tech Prodigy Plus, to the Technical Explorers, to the Bag Chasers, to the Tech Mercenaries. Shout out to all of y'all. The amount of work and effort that you put in every single day to be better, our goal here is always for growth. If we can just get 1% growth every single day, right? Oh, how can I forget Ferris as well? watching Ferris code and seeing like when he has these revelations of like, oh, this is how I can do it, and trying over and over and over again. Ferris, drop your channel in the chat so people can come and watch you struggle. But it's a good struggle though. It is a humble struggle. It is a good struggle. It is a learning struggle. So I always appreciate watching Ferris learn in real time and like, oh, this is how this works. And you might not get it the first time, the second time, the third time, but at least on the 100th time, you're going to get it, right? So shout out to Ferris out there as well. You know, keep on grinding that endless grind. That's what we're all about here, right? So let's just jump into the show schedule real quick. We have our live shows, right? So live shows go like this. Our morning shows, Coffee and Kata, Mondays and Wednesdays. We start at 7. So Mondays, we start around like 7:45, 8 a.m., you know, and we are same thing we always do. We look at some news stories and then we're continuing through our mobile app. We've currently been pushing our apps through the app stores. So it is currently in closed testing mode in Google. I'm working on building up the tester base for the closed testing. And then once we have up to 20, then we go through the 2 weeks of testing that Google requires, and then we can apply for production. So, and then yesterday, or what did I say today? Yeah, yesterday we were working on setting it up for Apple. So we're going through that process and getting everything filled in. And then, so once we get there, then we're going to go to the next step until we are finally live in the App Store. And while we're waiting to get live in the App Store, we'll start working on our new stories, our new features. I think I said I wanted to go into start seeing if we can build a corresponding watch app for it. So we'll see. We'll figure that out as we go along, right? So that's our morning shows. We're looking at news. We have a cup of coffee, and we are working on mobile development, all right? And everything that comes with it. So that's actually building the app as well as pushing it through the App Store. We had to set up the privacy policy page using React on the website the other day. So we're figuring it out as we go along, all right? And then we have Sunday afternoon software explorations. We are focused on Terraform. So this past Sunday, we had worked on the AWS Secrets Manager and setting that up for our MongoDB connection as we're almost into production with the Poopy Pants app. And so this coming Sunday, I'm not 100% sure yet. I have to think about it a little bit more of what direction we're going to be going on Sunday, because we did finish the AWS Secrets Manager. We might keep messing around with the Elastic Container Service. We'll find out as we get closer to that day. Tuesday nights, Q&A, where we go through a bunch of questions. We had a wonderful, amazing show this past Tuesday. Lots of questions, lots of answers, lots of interaction in the chat. It was very, very fun. So join us on Tuesday nights. You can call in if you have a question. You can ask it in the chat, as well as I have questions as well that I source across the interwebs. Thursday nights, more software explorations. We are focused on, right now we've been focused on APIs, API documentations, QA, stuff like that. So we're going to be trying out that API documentation tonight again, as I mentioned, the auto generation. Saturday mornings, oh my goodness. I think I saved this to announce this last because this is a fan favorite. So Saturday mornings, it is our weekly numbers review, and that show is called Men Lie, Women Lie, Numbers Manipulate. Yep, numbers manipulate. We see how they try to get us with this economic data, so we're going to review it for ourselves on the Men Lie, Women Lie, Numbers Manipulate, which is co-hosted from the chat. I mean, it's mainly hosted from the chat. I'm just the face here, but it's mainly hosted from the chat by Mitch and Yakar. So shout out to Mitch and Yakar. And we are exploring. We are getting some data, and I'm trying to break it down because they are experts in this type of stuff, right? Mitch and Yakar, they know about like all the GDP, and I learned about it in like 8th grade or something. But did I ever use it since then? Nope. But now I'm like, you know what? I have a vested interest because, hey, we're bag chasers to the core. So we're going to be, I'm breaking it down. I already broke down how we can easily understand the weekly job, initial job claims numbers. And now we're going to break it down for GDP so we can make it easy to understand, easy to digest. So we can just like, oh, okay, this is exactly what it means. So when they're trying to manipulate us with their little numbers on TV and like using all these big fancy terms, like, oh, I got you. This is what you're saying. And we will not be fooled.
Let's get it.
All right. So that is our live show schedule throughout the week. Every week we don't miss, except for a weekend that's coming up in July because I'm going to be out of town with terrible internet. So I'll still have the pre-recorded content, but these live shows, I don't know. I don't think they're going to happen because where I'm going to, their internet has sucked for years now, right? So we'll figure it out as we get closer, right? Next up, our pre-recorded content. Mondays, we have Candid Conversations. This past Monday, I asked you a question. What have you not started yet? What do you keep saying that you want to start, but you haven't started yet? So that's the question that we ask and answer. So I highly recommend you go check that out. And maybe that can give you that kick in the so that you can get started on it. All right. So Wednesdays, software explorations. Yesterday, we spoke about data engineering. It was a very, very fun video. I had an amazing time doing it. And I had Mr. Lot stop by in the comments. I had Mitch stop by in the comments saying how much they really enjoyed it. And these are two data analysts, data engineers, all of that good stuff. And I really appreciated their feedback, and I look forward to continue digging into data engineering. I've been going through the course, learning about different types of data data engineering models, classification, regression, all that good stuff. So I'm learning. I am learning because I'm gonna master data engineering at one day. All right. And then Fridays we have the Bug Bite, where we review different industry bugs. Like, software issues, patch mistakes, vulnerabilities, all that good stuff. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about Microsoft getting rid of VB script. Yes, this one was sent to me by Yakar, and I read him and he had a very good point to it. He's like, this is why it's important to be multi code lingual. It might be good to be multilingual, like with different speaking languages and stuff like that, written languages, but it is also very important to be multi-coding lingual as well. So we're going to be reviewing that tomorrow, so definitely want to tune into that. And then throughout the week, we have sometimes we have shorts, and we also have clips from the Q&A show that go out Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And I'm still always thinking about how can I put out some more clips from like the live streams and stuff, because we go through a lot of good content on these live streams, but sometimes people just can't sit through the whole thing. So I'm looking into how I can get them more capacity. Maybe I need to work closer with my video editor so we can start clipping up these live streams as well, from the breaks to the segments that we're doing. I don't know. We'll figure it out, right? We will figure it out, but that is the goal that we're working on, right? So with that being said, that is our live shows, our pre-recorded content, our housekeeping for the night. One more time, thank you so much for all the new subscribers, the existing subscribers, the moderators who do such a great job, for all the tech mercenaries and the tech barbarians, the tech prodigy members, the technical explorers, all of you guys are absolutely amazing.
I appreciate you.
All right, so now we are going to transition to our next portion of the show, which is going to be checking the chat because my friends are in the building. Let's see what's going on. Let's see. So Yakar says he is going to set the record straight. Oh my goodness. What is going on? We don't want no problems here. All right. We are good to go. And Yakar also says, no one on the corner auto generates swagger like us. Swagger like us. Swagger like us. That's what I'm talking about. See, look at that. I mean, hey, maybe back in high school and stuff like that, middle school, those who got in trouble were the cool kids and stuff like that. But now it is a new age, a new generation, and we are now the cool kids. We're not all about that fighting stuff and saying, oh, who's here, who's not, and all that good stuff. Like, hey, we are here to win, to be victorious. And Ferris said, put some respect on his name. That's what I'm talking about. And Yakar says he appreciates me. No, Yakar. No.
I appreciate
you, bro. I appreciate you, bro. All right. And we got Mitch in the building. He says he took off the blazer. He loosened up the tie. Superman is alive. That's what I'm talking about. And Your car asked me, where, that's a good question. Where is Supergirl? Where is Supergirl? Where in the world is Supergirl? Did you guys ever used to watch Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego when you guys were kids? Did you guys ever watch Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? I used to like that show, but it never came on consistently. But it was a good show. It was a good show. And we have Mitch in the building that says, Ralph, I just wanted to say I appreciate you. I know I be joking all the time, but that's just me. Enough of this. Back to Mitch, Superman mode. We couldn't do it without Mitch in his Superman mode.
Be the best.
But I appreciate you too, Mitch. You give me so much insight and knowledge and fun. And I don't think you talk this much on any other channel, but I'm able to bring it out of you, and that is when the show gets so much fun. So you know what, Mitch?
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. And your car said, have we covered PHP? Oh, no, we have not covered PHP. Is PHP still a thing? I don't know. Like, I was never really that great at PHP. But if you want me to cover it, I will be glad to go into the antique box and pull out some PHP stuff. I know WordPress is still written in PHP, but I'll be glad to go into the antique box and see what I can dust off for some PHP, and we can have a conversation about PHP. I am more than happy to do it. And Mitch says, she still got her shoelaces not tied, still tripping. Come on, Supergirl. Come on, Supergirl. You see, Mitch? You see that? See? When you throw your shot, it's not always worth it. It is not always worth it. I'm just saying. All right. I'm just saying. All right. And your car says, he was telling Travis Lee about that show and Dick Tracy. She didn't know what I was talking about. What? It's all right. I got, we're here, right? I remember Dick Tracy, because Dick Tracy had the yellow coat. Yeah, he had the yellow coat, I believe. I remember Dick Tracy. But I remember more about Carmen Sandiego, though. Where in the world is Carmen? I think they had it as a game show as well, something like that. But I do remember that. And it says cover Mojo. All right, I'll add that to my list. Mojo software exploration. See, you say it, I write it, right? And let's see. So your car says that's why I asked. No, we don't need to cover it.
Bruh.
Oh my goodness. Are we covering JS next? I'm just saying, all right. You brought it up like, okay, if he wants to cover it, I guess we can go into the antique box and find out about what PHP is, but to be fair, I do have a former coworker whose husband is very big into PHP and stuff like that. So I'm not gonna shade PHP. It's just something that I never got into, and there's so much more. There's so much more out there. So, anyways, I digress. And lastly, Mitch says, I almost shot my shot at the other one. You know who I'm talking about. Ooh, okay, I got you.
Ain't believing us.
I believe in you though, Mitch. I believe in you. Hey, you are in Jersey. You are in Jersey. I got you, Mitch. I got you. But all right, cool. So let's get into enough fun and games. Let's get into a little icebreaker. I had to jump off. I'm gonna save that jump off for Sunday. But let's get into a little icebreaker real quick, and then I have some topics for the break. But this one is, should overqualified be a thing? So I was, scrolling through the friendly streets of LinkedIn, the friendly complaining streets of LinkedIn, but it's still, friendly for the most part. And I came across this one, right? So this one said, I posted a job advertisement last week and received several applicants. At first glance, one particular candidate appeared overly experienced for the role. Reviewing the resume, it seemed the job didn't align with his career trajectory. But who am I to judge what the candidate wants? I called the candidate and he said he wasn't interested in management anymore. He wants the classic 9 to 5, no extra hours. He wants to prioritize work-life balance. He wasn't fazed by a small pay cut. Great. This makes sense. When I presented the applicant to the client, they were not interested. The candidate was overqualified, too experienced, and wouldn't find it challenging. Harsh. So now the poster goes on to say, overqualified should never be the reason you don't move forward with a candidate. If the applicant is content with the job's requirements and the company's expectations align, rejecting them solely based on being overqualified is short-sighted. Plus, there is so much growth that comes from surrounding yourself with people who know more than you. Not everything is about progression, money, and status. All right, so that is our icebreaker. So here's my thoughts on this, right? So should overqualified be a thing? Because I've heard some people who go to apply for a position and they feel that, it went well, but then they get told, oh, sorry, you're overqualified for this position. And should that stop someone from getting a job? So I'm going to offer my perspective on the whole overqualified thing. I think that, number one, I totally think it's the choice of the company who is hiring on whether they want to, hire someone who they believe is overqualified or not. But here's the problem where it comes with being overqualified. Like I said a few weeks ago in a Candid Conversation video, hiring is really, really expensive. And because there are no serious contracts or enforceable contracts, then if someone says, okay, because here's the play, right? Here's the play. What stops somebody from saying who is overqualified, but they are desperate for a job? So they're like, oh, I don't mind taking less money. I don't mind this and that and that and that, whatever, right? And now they take the position. And because they were desperate and they didn't have any other choice. So now, while they take this position that was meant for somebody who has much more junior status, but they take it, they say, oh yeah, I don't mind taking a pay cut, whatever, right? So now, while they're doing that, they're still looking. So this is like a transition or Jesus Christ. These these 3-syllable words, those are tough, right? So it's like a transition period for this person. So like while they are looking for a more lucrative job, they tell you anything just so they can land this for something that they can do in the meantime. And so they don't have that gap on their resume. So now what if you go through the whole hiring process, you interview a bunch of people and okay, cool, this person, they can do the job, let's hire them. Although they're overqualified, and then 3 months later, 6 months later, they get the offer that they really wanted. And now they leave. And now you're back to square one. Because in order to truly be acclimated to a company, to a position, it's probably going to take you about a year. So 6 months, you're starting to get familiar, but it really takes about a year to get like really acclimated to that company, to the software, all that good stuff. So now you 6 months in, you've lost about a year now because they had another 6 months to go before they're really good in the position, but they quit. So now you have to start over. So now it's actually more like 18 months because you lost those 6 months. Plus you have to get somebody else in, which is another year to get familiar, to start like truly adding that real benefit, that value to the company. So now you're behind. So do I understand companies not wanting to take overqualified people? I do, because at some point, when you start getting bored doing stuff that comes easy to you, that you already know, your mind starts to wander. And if that particular position, there was no job progression in there, then they were like, oh man, because people at the end of the day, people like to complain, right? Although I'm allergic to complaining, people like to complain at the end of the day. So if they're not feeling satisfied or whatever, whatever they're feeling, so now they're gonna like, oh well, let me start looking around. Let me see if there's any other opportunities out there. So that's why for me that overqualified thing, it's a serious thing. See, I look at it from from many different perspectives. I remember when I started like the coaching group, my preference was for people who are already working in the field so that I can help them navigate the field of, software engineering, QA, stuff like that, on how to move, what to study, what to learn. And people who are like trying to get into the field, not that I wouldn't coach them, but I'll let them know, like, look, it's gonna be a lot tougher not already being in the field, because getting your foot in the door is the starting line. And from that, many people they quit because they didn't want to do what it took to get to the starting line. Now, I have some amazing people one who just made it to the starting line, one who is working on getting to the starting line. But the reason I share that story is because you're asking these companies to take a risk. So I'll say more people who were so ambitious, so ready to go and everything like that, some of them a week in, 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in, I'm out of here. I can't do it. So that is already, see, for me, it's not that big of a deal because, hey, you have to pay for my time. But for the company to take that risk, to take that gamble on somebody who's underqualified or overqualified, that's a risk. And for me, I would say that more times out of if we're playing the probabilities game, it's more likely that the person who is underqualified, they're not going to do what it takes for them to catch up. And the person who's overqualified, they're going to get bored and there's not going to be a position open for them to grow and they're going to leave. So if it all comes down to the money and to the probabilities, to the data. So I totally understand why these companies are like hesitant on these taking risks. So, these recruiters, they want to get their commission and stuff like that because they get paid by you getting a job. It's like lawyers, right? Like if the lawyer wins the case, then they're going to get paid from the 30%. The recruiters get something as well. So I'll tell you this: if you're being offered to get paid like $40 an hour, then the contracting company is probably getting 80 to 120 an hour. So, of course, they're going to be advocating for anybody who can land in the position. But here's a question for you. So here's a question before I wrap this part about overqualified, right? If a company was to take a chance on you, although they believe you're overqualified, would you sign a contract that says, if we give you this position, you agree to stay for at least 2 years? Now, if that overqualified, and if you don't stay for 2 years, then here are the consequences. Maybe you have to pay back like $10,000. I don't know. Whatever the consequences would be. But would you be willing to sign a contract that says, I will stay for at least 2 years in a position that I know that I'm overqualified for, and that I could probably get a higher pay rate somewhere else, but I'm willing to accept that money, that lower pay, because I am overqualified for the position? That is the question that I would ask. And if they're saying yes, they are willing to do that, then maybe you would go and take that. All right. So that is my icebreaker for today. We will check the chat and see what the thoughts are, what the sentiments of the people are. All right. So let's go and wrap that one up. Boom. All right. So let's see what we got going on in the chat. What's going on, App Stars? All right. Let's see. So we are at, let's see. There is a good conversation going in the chat. Let's see. All right. So Your car says, Mitch, manifest that. And it says it's all fun and games. Your car, I'm gonna tell you the real. Your car, I'm gonna tell you the real. It's all fun and games unless they say yes. Like I was just playing. But if you're serious, I'm serious though. But I was just playing. But I'm serious, but I'm kidding. Unless you're serious, then I'm not kidding. You know, Mitch, I got you. Mitch. We're all from the same place, right? We're all from the same place. It says close on that deal, Mitch. Round 3, bring it home. Changing the game in the 9th inning. All right, so talking about the overqualified, your card says it is a thing, but you will get bored and you will cost the company more money than you help them make. I told you that's what I'm thinking. All right, and it says it shouldn't stop them, but realistically, as a company, they don't think you will stay. See, and Ferris says though, hiring managers shouldn't assume it's not challenging. What if I am challenged? And he is. Bruh. I mean, like I'm saying, I don't think hiring managers are able to think of each individual person's situation. I mean, I know personally someone who's hiring, and they are specifically targeting someone who is coming like entry level out of college type realm for QA. So and like people apply and they're like, look, we're not looking for this. We're looking for somebody who is coming right out of college that we're gonna build up, you know. So just saying. And shooting from 35 feet in the bottom of the 9th with no timeout. That's hilarious. And it says, put it like this: Ralph going to an entry level QA role. Do you think he will get hired? Nope. Sure won't. And I wouldn't do it. It says, sweating my life. I'm fighting for my life. All right, let me try this again. All right, let me try this again. Transition. See, but I was trying to say transitionary, if that's a word. I don't know. I might, but that's what I was trying to say. All right. Thank you, your car. See, your car always has my back. And it says he should be if he wants it. I mean, but if you heard my scenario, what if he wants it for right now? So the question for you, Ferris, is: would you sign that contract that says you have to stay for 2 years in a position that you're overqualified for? And I mean, technically, you're not underpaid. You're underpaid for what you've been doing in your past, but you're not underpaid for that position. Would you stay for 2 years? Or if you want to leave earlier, you have to pay back $10,000. That's what I want to know. Would you be willing to do that? And Mitch says, see, I'm with Mitch on this one, right? So let's see what Ferris says. Says, at some point, wouldn't it just hit a ceiling? You get to 50, 20 years of experience and you get laid off. Now you're trying to get your face. Now you trying to get in. You face ageism. I think just do a contract to hire if it's a concern. Okay, I mean that's what I'm. Would you be willing to sign it? That's my question. That's my question. And it says you need an AI headband, aka Neuralink. I mean Allen Iverson headband. So I read an article or I saw a headline today that the Miami Heat, Udonis Haslem said that the Miami Heat almost traded for Allen Iverson. And don't get me wrong, I loved Allen Iverson as a player, but I think it would have I do not think him and Pat Riley would have got along whatsoever. Not at all. They would have not gotten along. And it says, oh God, here we go. I used to wear 2 headbands like Nelly and my jersey backwards. I'm sure you did. Bruh. And your car says, wait a minute now. Wait just a second. Where are they at? 30, bitch. No bad 8 under the eye. Where they at? And we got my guy in the building. Amp Stars, what's good? What's happening, Amp Stars? How you doing? How are you doing this fine Wednesday? Oh, my goodness, me taking Monday off messed up my whole week. This fine Thursday evening, all right? And Mitch says, I'll say yeah, but in my Dave Chappelle voice. Psych. And Ferris said he would go for it. See, Ferris, you're a different breed. You're a different breed. But like I said, it's a probabilities game. It is a probabilities game. But I hear you. I definitely hear you. And Yukari says, yeah, whoever hires me while in this contract will pay me out of it. Pay me out of it. That's true. That is true. That is true. Because like if another company really wants you and says, well, I did sign this contract for $10,000. Oh, no problem. Boom. Now you're out of the contract. Now you're ours. Now you're ours. But you have to sign a 5-year, $20,000 contract with us. What? Hey, it is what it is. And Ferris says, run me 40 an hour for easy work. Hey, I don't care if I'm bored. I hear you. I hear you. Like, I'm not saying I disagree with you. I'm just giving the other side from the company perspective on why they lean more towards not overhiring, because the percentages, you might be one of the few people who's okay with it. But let me ask you a question though. If so, here's a question for you, Ferris. If you get that position at 40, but now you get offered a position for 60, but you're not in the contract. It's 3 months down the road. You're currently overqualified for the $40 an hour role. You get offered for $60 an hour. Do you take it or not? Do you take it or not? Education bonus, room for growth, and run me a bonus. Sure. All right. So, I mean, like I said, that's why I wanted to bring it up. I think it is a good conversation starter. There's like, I see both sides on it. But I do not trust though. Like when these recruiters make these posts, especially a recruiter who's not working for an actual company who's hiring, to me, I'm like, you're just trying to make people feel good. You are just trying to make people feel good. All right. So with that being said, we are going to get started for tonight. So like I said, we're going to be working on auto generation of Swagger documentation. Like Yukar said earlier today, no one can write Swagger can auto generate Swagger like us. All right, so let's get started. Let's get started with our first segment. So first thing I'm going to share the screen for the Swagger documentation. Right. So let's start up our timer.
It's time to do.
All right. So this is the Node Package Manager repo for Swagger auto generation. This module performs automatic construction of Swagger documentation. It can identify the endpoints and automatically capture methods such as get, post, put, and so on. It also identifies paths, routes, middleware, response status codes, parameters and paths, headers, queries, and body. It is possible to add information such as an endpoint description, parameter description, schemas, security, amongst other, using comments and codes. At the end, it generates a .json file containing Swagger format specifications. All right. So this is how we're going to install it, and we will. So and then this is the actual website. So let me drop this in the chat. This is the npm, and then this is the quick start, or this is the website for Swagger AutoGen from Git on their GitHub, and I'm gonna drop this one in the chat, and then we'll go through it. All right. I already have WebStorm open in the other screen, and we'll switch over to it when it comes time to. But let's read it real quick, right? So let's say introduction. We already read this part. So how we're gonna install it: npm install save dev Swagger AutoGen, and to update it. So then once we get here, we're gonna go to getting started. Let's go to the quick start. So pretty much we're going to be using the ES module, and this is the code that we're going to be implementing. Swagger. So there's going to be a file called swagger.js, and we're going to do pretty much this. Set an output file, and then the path to the routes, and Swagger autogen output file. Looks pretty straightforward, but we'll figure it out. We shall figure it out, all right? And Mitch, if you stop by Ferris's stream, me and him, we're always fighting. We're always going back and forth, right? It's like Ferris is like a little brother. He's like a little brother to me, all right? So we're always strategizing, talking, and seeing and sharing ideas and stuff like that, right? So no Ferris slander in the chat, Mitch. No Ferris slander, all right? All right. But if I was to put him in a chokehold, it would probably be a rare rear naked choke, right? If you guys are not familiar with that type of choke, it is probably one of the most used chokes in the UFC, in MMA. So that's a choke I would use. That's a choke that I would use. But Ferris did say he's going to be starting training soon, so maybe that might not work, right? Anyways, I digress. All right? So let's get to... I got a thing. That's hilarious. All right, so let's get to it. All right, so here we are. So the first thing I'm going to do, which I always tell you guys, learning Git is very, very important. I am going to create a new branch. Where's my mouse? All right, there we go. So we're going to do Git, or what branch am I on? Git, checkout, develop, and Git pull to pull the latest stuff that's up there. All right, we're up to date. And I'm going to do Git. So normally I would be creating a new branch through Jira, but we don't have a story for this inside of, we don't have a story. Like we already did the story for the generating the Swagger documentation, and that story was closed out in our sprint. So I'm going to be creating so at my job, the way that we create when we create a branch that doesn't have an associated story, we just call it no ticket, right? So we're just gonna I just like to replicate what I do at work, because that way it gives people insight and strategies on how to work effectively. I think that the team that I'm on, the squad that I'm on at work, is probably one of the best at the company, if I must say so myself. But so we're gonna do git checkout and then B for branch, create a new branch, and we're gonna call it no tick for no ticket, and we're gonna call that I'm gonna be fancy with my branch name. We're gonna have some fun with the branch name, right? No one. We're gonna call it no one generates Swagger docs like us. How you like that, Yakar? How do you like that branch name? All right, so now we're on our branch. So we're going to go to, so let's see, what do we have? There's a folder for docs, I believe, because I did merge it in, I think. I thought I had merged it in. Maybe I didn't. That's weird. Oh yeah, there it goes, docs. There you go, docs. All right. So, I am going to create a new folder. I'm going to create a new folder. We're going to call that I'll call it documentation. Call it auto docs. Let's call it auto docs. All right. And we're going to go into here. We're going to say npm. So as it said over here, to install npm install save-dev swagger-autogen. And you know who gave us a shout out to Heist King, because he's the one who gave me the idea. I didn't even know you could do auto generation of Swagger docs. But he's the one who gave me the idea. I'm like, what? You can do that? Let's give it a try. So shout out to Heist King. All right, so have a new version of npm. This won't hurt to update it. Let's keep our software up to date so we do not fall victim to cyber threats. All right. So, all right, let's see. All right, perfect. So we have our Swagger auto generation created. Let's go to all right, so we got that. And the next thing we're going to do, pull up a quick start. All right, so we're going to create a file inside of here or inside of auto docs. New file, we're going to call that swagger.js. And we're going to say, we're going to use ES modules. So we're going to say import swagger auto gen from swagger auto gen. All right. And now we're going to say constant doc equals, and we're going to say info, and that's going to be title will be Pat's quotes Rater API, and we're going to say description what's the description? Return random or quotes API with random quotes by author and whatever. That's not that serious. That we can always update later. And we will say host, local host 3000. All right. All right. So that close that out. And then we say const output file or the output file equals, and it's going to be swagger output. I should put it in this folder though, because I don't want it to go into the root. So I'd say I'll do it like this for now. I can always delete it after if I don't like, because I probably won't like where it saves it, but I can always figure that out later. Const roots. So now we have to identify our roots files. So they live in, I think I only have one of them. So the structure that I create, so I need to delete some of the, I have to clean up this repo, but the way I structured it is listening to Robert C. Martin, his recommendation for clean coding, clean architecture is that you should be able to know exactly what the application is doing just by looking at the folder structures. So that's why I have quotes here. And then under the quotes, we have controllers, models, and routes, so that I can know, okay, this folder is handling all the stuff with the quotes. Instead of like having controllers and then all the way inside of controllers, you have something for quotes, and then all the way inside of models, you have something for quotes. So what I would do is once we start implementing users, I would have a folder for users, and then under users, we know this is all the stuff for users. There's going to be controllers, models, routes for the users. So that was my idea behind why I created this quotes folder as a top level and not like a controllers folder as a top level. Because still always, trying to find like the best way to organize architecture, all that good stuff, right? So with that being said, the routes or the root, is it root or routes? I don't know. I've heard it said different ways, right? Anyways, so we're going to go to here and we're going to say src/quotes/routes.js. And that's the only route that we actually have right now. So we'll leave that as that. And then there's a note here that says, if you're using the express router, you must pass in the routes only the root file where your route starts, such as index.js, app.js, routes.js. Only the root file. Oh, in that case. Interesting. So in that case, I probably will need the app dot probably just need this one then. I probably just need this one then. So if we switch this then to, yeah, I mean, we'll find out, right? We'll definitely find out. It'll keep us accountable if we're wrong. So let's go here. And then we do Swagger AutoGen and then output file routes doc. All right, so then we go back over here. To build the documentation, add the following script in your package. So scripts, Swagger. All right, so now let's go to our package.json. Under scripts, I'm gonna copy and throw in Swagger node. So this should be under auto docs /swagger.js. All right, now, are we done for the night already? This can't be that easy. This can't not be that easy. All right, so let's go to, so now it says to run the following command, npm run Swagger. Let's find out what happens. Let's find out what happens, all right? Well, something happened. Let's find out what happened. So we have inside of autodocs, we have our swagger.output.json. Now the question is, how do we use it? Because if we open it up, oh, whoa, what just happened here? I was not expecting to see that. So when I open this, it automatically popped this up as well. Where they do that at? Bruh. So, let's see. So I don't have the application started. Interesting. Should I start the application? If I start the application, see, and this is why I need my 128 gigs of RAM, because now I'm doing the math in my head. For me to start the application, I need to start up Docker in order for this to work with localhost. And if I start up Docker, then it's going to take up a lot of resources. and then it's going to slow down the computer, and then it might slow down the stream. But let's see. So let's see what happens. But this is cool though. This is progress. This is progress. Let me see if I open up this response to it. So expecting 200 okay. Expecting a 500 internal server error. Interesting. If I click try it out, what happens? So if I click try it out, so now the thing that's missing is the details. The deets. What are the deets? So, but this is pretty cool. This did a lot of stuff, right? I like it. I like it a lot. But now what we can continue doing is, all right, how do we add like some comments on what each endpoint is trying to do? And then also talking about authentication as well. So we're going to go through the documentation to find out how we do that, right? So let's go back over here. But there's another thing though. How do we get this issue? Because what I see here, is that when we open this JSON file, sure, it works great. But how do we share this documentation with whoever is trying to learn it? I don't only want them to be able to access it by going into the repo, because like with the other one, with the regular generation, like the manual generation, it created a whole website or web page for us that we're able to use. So let's go and start looking into the documentation. All right. But I am very, very impressed by this. Shout out again to Heist King for hitting us up with, hey, why don't you just do auto generation? I was like, what? What do you speak of, good sir? What do you speak of? But guess what? We're like maybe 25% of the way there. 25% of the way there.
I appreciate you.
All right. So looking at the documentation, let's see what we got. So to build a documentation, all right, we run the command. So let's take a look at the simple example. Start, right. So run. So I want to know, how do they get to, like, is it a web page that this is under, or is it a run the project and access the documentation at doc? I wonder can I do that? Let me see. Actually I would have, I don't know if I can run the project. Let me try. Let me see what I can do. Because I know that it won't fully start up because I don't have the database up and running, but I can live with that. If I go to, all right, so now if I go to over here and we do localhost
lunch break,
docs, not found. All right, well, whatever. Let's go to break and then we'll keep trying this out. It's interesting I got a not found this way. So we'll figure it out. We shall figure it out one way or the other, right? So it is break time. I'm trying to get better at taking the breaks at the break time and not like run over, because breaks are very, very important so that you can refresh your mind and I can talk to my friends in the chat. Okay, so let's see where we left off. Mitch had said they want what it looks like, but not what it feels like. Oh, I hear you. I hear you. Actually, before I even go into, you know what? Let me go into the chat. Then I'll hit up on this on our break discussion. All right. So Ferris said, so this is in regards to the overqualified, right? If I get that position at 40, but I get offered 60, but no contract 3 months later, would I take it? Listen, this is a trap question. Answer is work both. All right. You know what? You got me, Ferris. You got me. You're right. You are right. You're right. But as Jeezy and Akon said, don't get caught. You can do your thing, but remember, don't get caught. And it says, Ferris says, now I make $100 an hour. Do you? But do you though? Do you? I don't know. You should do the math on that. Because if you're working 80 hours, are you making only 50? It's a good question. That is a good question. I need my data people on this. Right? And Mitch says, Ferris and Ralph fighting. Ferris, he's going to put you in a chokehold. We spoke about that. But Ferris, he comes back and says, I got a thick neck.
Bruh.
All right, and your card liked the branch name. No one does swagger documentation like us. That's right.
We the best.
We the best. And oh goodness, he just dropped a video called "Why Most Content Creators Are Broke, Will Never Be Able to Quit Their Day Job." Oh my god, dropping bombs out there. I'm gonna go watch that as soon as we are done with the stream. Dropping bombs out there. And Mitch says, "I get it. There's nothing wrong with the job, though. I didn't see the video, but I'm saying in general, yes, you're right, Mitch. But there is a very, very specific reason on why." He's saying that, but it's YouTube stuff. It's YouTube stuff. And first says, "We done? Are we done? What? We're not done. We still have it's really cool, but here's what we have to do. We have to get the documentation to generate in a web page for people to be able to access it, and we need to start adding descriptions on what's doing what, like we did on the other one. Yep. It did seem a little too good to be true, but it was. If it's too good to be true, then you know it is not true. And he says, yeah. So that's the thing. Talking about how they are not monetizing their content correctly, which I need to get. I have to make sure I'm monetizing my content correctly. That's a fact. That is a fact. So don't worry, Mitch, because the person that made the video, they have a job. So they're not downplaying jobs by any means. By any means, they're not downplaying jobs, right? And it says one ISP on AT&T, another on Verizon, 2 separate routers. But yeah, same 8 hours, 60 an hour plus 40 an hour, $100 an hour. I'm not good at math. You might not be good at math. I'm not good at 3-syllable words. So we're all on the same playing field. And yeah. So it's other stuff that's happening. Yeah. So it's not about us at all. We are on the winning team. All right, because you know.
I mean, you know, all we do is win, man. You know that.
Mitch, you know all we do is win. You know, don't get triggered, Mitch. Don't get triggered. Don't get triggered. Anyways. All right, so let's jump into this topic really, really quick. Right. So we're gonna do this. So let's go, and I want to share some tips. I'm gonna make a bigger video on this, but I'll probably have it in Patreon, or I don't know. But here's some tips to learning when you're on that journey of learning how to code, from like what I've seen from watching Ferris' stream, from watching from helping other people learn how to code and stuff like that, is you want to have small incremental learning steps. Because especially with that 100 Day of Code and some other projects, they're going to give you they'll have a 15-minute video on all the details and stuff like that. Like, okay, now boom, go ahead and write this code. And now you're like, okay, and this is the expected outcome that you want. So they'd say you start with this, and here's the expected outcome that you want. And now you have to go through all this pain and tribulation on how to get to that expected outcome. So this tip is to help you reduce that all that pain and tribulation, right? Because coding is hard, right? Coding is hard, but there are some tips that can help you make it easier as you learn, because there's so many different moving pieces that you're not sure if this is the mistake that you're making, or you're not even thinking about this other thing. So small incremental pieces is my first tip for you, right? Because why do I say small incremental learning pieces? Very small bits of code for immediate feedback. I say run often. See me when I'm coding, like even when I'm coding to this day, I will like every few lines of code, I'm hitting run to see if they pass or fail. And I'm also defining what I consider to be pass or fail because my prime objective is not to get to the expected outcome of the project of the script on my first hit of run. It is to say, all right, on like what are the steps to get there? And let me make it the first step. And when I run it to get the first step, let's say when I run it to get the first step, then okay, cool. Now what's the next step that I need? Let's build off of the first step to add to the second step, and that passes. And now I do that all the way until I get to the final step. So I'm running these small bits of code incrementally so that I can get immediate feedback, so I can see if on the very first step I'm not getting my expected result, then I'm doing something wrong at the very first step. But if you write a bunch of code, and then now like let's say you write like 10, 15 lines of code, and now you're not even sure where you're failing or what's the problem. But that's why I'll say, all right, let me write 1 to 2 lines of code. If I can write 1 line of code, even better, and I can get that to pass okay, cool. I know my first line is good. Let me write the second line. And now the first and the second line pass. Okay, cool. My second line is good. I write my third line, and now it fails. I know that my problem is at the third line, and I can troubleshoot that. And when I troubleshoot that, then I can actually, okay, now I fix the third line. Now all 3 lines are passing. Let me go to the fourth line. And as I'm slowly building up to that, I will get to my end result, my end destination. So that is how I approach coding. Did I approach that when I first started? Not really. But if I had that insight and that tip on, and I call that testing, like writing code with a testing mindset, it's kind of like test-driven development in a way. Not fully, because you're not writing the unit tests and stuff like that. But I'm running the code very often, like almost every line of code that I write. Maybe 2 lines if it takes 2 lines, but I run it, boom, pass. Okay, next line, boom, pass. Next line, boom, pass. All the way until I get to my final result. So that is my first tip during our first break on how you can learn to, when you're learning the code, how you can make the process a little bit easier on yourself instead of having a massive, massive struggle. Right? So hopefully that first tip helps. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know. I'm curious to hear from your car as well. What is this? What are the thoughts on this? Curious to hear from Ferris on what you've been doing. If that makes any sense, if that makes any difference. Just curious, right? So that is the first tip on how to make it a little bit easier, how to ease the pain when you are learning how to code. All right. Alrighty then. So let's end that one. Boom. So let's see. So, and your car says, all right, before your car. So, Ferris says, these courses equals emotional damage. I need that soundbite. And your car says, start with a solid foundation and test as you go. And that's what I was referring to this morning, Ferris, with the code with testing in mind. Not like how to test software for whether it's QA or cyber or security, but testing out the code to make sure what I'm doing is working incrementally. So that's what I meant. So and Ferris says, yes, sir, he understands. Shout out to Ferris. I love the work that you're doing. I love the work that you're doing. Very, very good stuff. All right. So with that being said, we are going to get to our second segment of the show. All right. Let's get to our second segment of the show. Let's get to it.
Let's go! Let's go!
All right. So when we last left off, last time on this code block, let's go to here. So when we tried to go to docs, it gave us a failure, not found. So let's look over. So, it says doc. Let me try doc. Maybe that's my bad. Maybe that's my bad. Still, no. So use the command npm run start gendoc. Let me take a look at his package.json. So he just named it start gendoc for okay, so he's just doing the same thing. So why would his show up here? Why would his show up there? All right, let's look at, so let's go back over here, right? So let me see advanced example. So autogen using router. So it's still going to the same thing. All right, so let me see. Let's see, how can we get advanced usage? Not all these things. OpenAI. So, all right, let's go. All right, so let's see. Options. Let's see. All right, so OpenAI enable by default is null. Let's see. Auto query, enable automatic query recognition. Enable disable logs. Write output file. Auto header, auto query, auto body. Enable or disable automatic body query or header recognition. To enable, disable the recognition for specific endpoint, use the following tags in the endpoint function. Is this so? Okay, these are true by default. Let's see. I am curious how this. I'm wondering how this person is getting there. Let me go and look at their. Let me go and look at their swagger.js file. Let's see. Security definitions, API key. Swagger autogen output file. Swagger.json. Swagger autogen, your project's root file. What do I have in mind? So output file, endpoint file is the routes, doc, docs, and then it does require, what is this? Your project's root file. I don't know what this part means. Let's see. Trying to understand why. We have the Swagger. So if we look here, let me see. So we are going to need to set up the authentication. That's not a problem. In the endpoint, add Swagger security, for example. You can definitely do that. I mean, this is somewhat auto generation, I guess. But I did want to get the. But let's do a quick Google search. Swagger auto gen as web auto gen web page. Let's try that. Auto generate. Trying to. So that's not it. All right, whatever. We'll if we have time, we'll look for this part. It should definitely be possible though to generate. I mean, this person is doing it. Let me try. Let me just try. Why not just try what they did? All right. So let's say so I'm just gonna try this part right here and see what happens. Let's go to. I'm just curious. All right. So if we say Swagger auto and then and we say require. I don't think that's gonna work. But let's say we do. I don't know what he's looking for. Hold on, let's go and take a look over here. Do they have a file called source index? Source. They do have a file called source. What's in this index file? So that would be the app.json, the app.js file. All right, cool. So
I appreciate you.
All right, so but I do appreciate you though. But wrong one. All right, so let's see. Where is our app dot app.js? And then I don't know what that's going to do, but we shall find out. We shall find out. And if that doesn't work, then we'll just move on to updating our documentation, and then we'll figure out this because it's important to have it as a web page, right? But we'll figure it out as we come along. So let's stop that. Let me go to here, and we're gonna do another auto gen, and it failed because require is not defined. Bastards. Let's see. I don't understand how the example is like totally different than what they're telling us to do. It's annoying. Let's see. would like my web page oh, wait. Let's see. If we change the ES module, await import. All right, let's try that. Let's try that. So if we go to over here and we say then async and we do await import like that. And we do we just say we start this up. Where index is your project root file, change the start script in your package.json to look at the swagger.js. If you're using Visual Code, change the reference in your launch.json the same way. So this is saying to build the documentation before the project starts and immediately start it. Oh, so where index.js is your project's root file. So you're saying we would go into this package. Let me stop this. We would go into package.json and we would do something like this. I don't know about that. Let's run it, see what happens. Well, that seemed to have worked. Doesn't say it auto-generated, but let's go to, oh, wait, you didn't even see me do it. So, let's go to, so I just updated the start to autodoc swagger.js. And let's go to here. And if we go to here, we got that. The button's not going to work because there is no database connected right now. We go here, not found. But the old documentation should be found. That's the old one. That's not the one that we just built. Because it has details here. I don't know. I don't quite know. And do I care about it being built when the project is started up? I think that's helpful. I think that's helpful for it to be built when the project is started up. That way it always get the newest stuff. So that's not bad, actually. But I don't like the fact that I'm not getting my my web page. But whatever. We'll figure that out later. So what we'll do is we will get started with documenting our application. So let's start off with our authentication, right? So inside of let's go here and let's look at here. So we're gonna do security definition, API key auth, type API key. To see more properties of the doc, check out advanced usage section. In the endpoint, add Swagger security, for example. So this is gonna say which endpoints have security and stuff like that. So let's take a look at the advanced usage. And let's take a look at security definition by default empty. And we're going to say we saw this part. All right, so let's do this. So in small incremental pieces, we're gonna go in here and we're gonna say so let's go with let's clean it up, right? We're gonna go here. Let's change this first. We're gonna go with servers. Open our list array, and we're gonna go with our dictionary for our first one, URL. And we're gonna go with HTTP /localhost.3000. And description is going to be local and then we're going to have another server. It's going to be URL http www.poopypants.app. The description. Let me see. Why is so this is weird because you can't have, I mean, I guess you could. That's just weird. Wait, what's going on here? So this is observe a comma. All right, never mind. I was just tripping. HTTPS, of course, and description as a production site. All right, so we have our two locations. And this is the other part which makes it so costly for companies, right? Because you can't just have a local dev environment and a production site. You're gonna have to have like a CI/CD area to test your site. You're gonna have maybe a main testing site where or like a develop thing where it mirrors production, but it isn't production. And then you're gonna have your production, which production costs the most. Then you have a lot of storage and testing on the development branch. So it's like I tell you, like hiring is really expensive. The infrastructure behind companies is really expensive. So I'm telling you guys. All right, so now let's get into wait a second. I was looking at the open API. Oh god. Well, let me see. Let's look at this. Open. I think I'd go with the open API specifications. So let's go up here. Let's use ES module and let's see servers. So Swagger AutoGen. And we'll say open API 3.0.0. This goes inside of squiggly brackets like that. And we got this. And we'll go with, so the version is default, title, description, servers, tags, components, and then we'll have this stuff here. Cool.
Lunch break. Lunch break.
And the only thing I'm looking for in here is like the security stuff, which we'll find that once we go into over here, so open AI, so bearer, is that the one that we're using? Maybe. I'll open up Postman to double check, right? But we're gonna go to break. We are going to go to break. So that is our second segment of the night. We have one more to go and then we'll wrap it up for tonight. But let me check the chat real quick and then we shall get into our tip number two. Tip number two. Because I have three tips. We're going to get into tip number two. And so Ferris said that he applied at Microsoft to wish him luck.
We the best.
Great job, Ferris. Great job. Keep going after it. I'm trying to get free food and my laundry washed. Okay. And Mitch says he is also trying to get free food and his laundry washed as well. And Ferris said that he just posted his first real video. I don't know how you post a video every single day. It is time consuming. What do you mean by your first real video though? It's like, do you mean like you recorded a video, edited it, and then you put it up, or from a live stream that you clipped up and then you posted it? So, but the way, so because the ones that I record, like the pre-recorded ones, like those are Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And so yeah, those are 3 videos a week, and then I just I record those, and then I edit them, and then I upload them. So I do that all over the weekend. Like sometimes I try to start on Friday or Thursday, but I do that all over the weekend. And then I descriptions and all that good stuff. So that part, like so the creating the content part, that's like me, but all that other stuff I'm using AI for help and stuff like that, for like descriptions and thumbnails. I'm using like Mid-Journey to get me started, all that good stuff. But for the videos that are posted every day, the clips from the Q&A show, those are like that's the Wednesday or the Tuesday show, for instance, and then we just clip that up. And so right now we're like back in like February that we're releasing clips from. And for that one, I used to do that on my own. However, my video editor, aka my wife, is the one who has been like, she's done all the videos since like almost the beginning of the year, maybe since I think the beginning of the year. Like it's all her editing. I don't even like really look at them anymore. I just like once I upload them, like she'll get them cut up and everything. I just render them and then I'll upload them. And then I get to like creating the thumbnails and stuff like that. If I find one that has an issue, I'm like, hey, this one has an issue. Go ahead. She goes and fixes it, re-uploads it, and then we go from there. So the people who are around you who want to buy into your vision and your ideas, and they want to help you, you give them opportunities to learn new things. Because before that, absolutely zero idea on how video editing works. Not even a fan of computers, but said, hey, I want to help you. What can I do? I'm like, you know what? One of the most time consuming things is video editing. Do you want to learn that? Not really. And I'm like, well, that's the help that I need. Learned it and now loves it and does an amazing job at it. So that's what's really helped me to like be able to do more, because I used to like spend a lot of time editing the video, cutting them up, rendering them and stuff like that. Now like that is like, I don't even think about that. I'm like, if we start to run low, I'm like, hey, I need some videos, and boom, get them done, upload, go through the whole process, right? So that is the cycle, and she's trying to like even do more to catch up. And once that happens, then I'm like, all right, cool. Now we need some we need to start editing. We need to start clipping up these other live streams because there's so much content in those as well. So that is the plan. All right. So that's how I do it. And Mitch says, that's dope. Didn't know she did that. She knows who Mitch is. She knows who Mitch is. She knows who Mitch. Everybody knows who Mitch is. Everybody knows who Mitch is. Right. And he says, teamwork makes the dream work. And Ferry says, step one, get a wife. It'll happen if that's what you want. It'll happen. It'll happen. All right. And says, good points though. Thank you very much. And it says, that's rare. They are all not like that. Rap is lucky. Hey. Bruh. I don't know. I don't know. All right. Anyways, let's get to our point number 2, or tip number 2. What's on the tip line? What is on the tip line? All right. So boom. What is tip number 2 is understand the mission. What do I mean by understand the mission? My second tip for helping you have a smoother transition when learning how to code is understand the mission. So understand what you're trying to solve before you actually try to solve it. Sounds like an easy concept. But what I see so many people make this mistake is they are trying to solve the problem, but they don't even know what the problem actually is. That's why I say, because if whatever you're in, you don't understand the objective that you're trying to accomplish, how are you actually going to do it? Now, you can try to throw a bunch of spaghetti at the wall and it might work. Cool. But are you really learning though? Are you really learning? So how do I understand the problem? And how do you do this? So how do you do this in software development, software engineering? Yesterday at work, we had a meeting where we call it a design review. Now, I'm not telling you to have a design review when you're trying to solve, like when you're trying to learn how to code, trying to solve these, simple problems. But what I'm telling you is that in this design review, and a lot of companies do it, but it was our team and one of the engineers who's been planning out a initiative that we have. They wrote a big document that has like all these different options. What is the objective? What we're trying to find, trying to solve. Some different ways to do it. What are the pros and the cons for each way of doing it? I bring that up because I want you to understand what the problem at hand is. So how do you do that? I want you to, in comments, write out, okay, what am I trying to solve? So I say, okay, I need to get what, let's take something simple. I want to pass in 2 inputs, right? Two numbers as an input. So it asks, okay, what is number 1 and what is number 2? And I'll say for number 1, I'll say I'll pass in 10, and number 2, I'll pass in 50. And I want to add those 2 numbers that I pass in, and I want it to return to me the result. So now I could just start writing a bunch of code, but I don't know, like, what am I actually trying to do? It's a simple example, so that one makes sense, right? But I would want to say, all right, so objective or mission is, in comments, say my goal is to get number 1 and add it to number 2 and get the result and print out the result. Now, working my way up, how do I do that? So with tip number 1, it was write in very small bits of code for immediate feedback. But I can map out my Ferry's gonna enjoy this, my treasure map on how, so in code, I'm writing out my plan on how I'm going to get there. So I'll say my objective is to get number 1 plus number 2 equal and print out the results of that. So now what is one level above, right? So it's actually doing the addition. So I would say, all right, so I'm going to say, all right, in this step in the comments is going to be like the actual number 1 plus number 2 and the value that's going to be. And then, so the step before that is I need to capture the values of number 1 and the values of number 2 that the person who's using my formula, my function is putting in. So, and I haven't written any code yet. I'm just writing the comments. This is just comments that I'm writing. So I'm saying, now I need to capture what's 1 and capture what's 2. What's number 1 and what's number 2. And then now that I know, so now that means that in order to get to my objective, I need to do, so my objective is to add the input of number 1 and the input of number 2 and print out that result. So it's to print out the result of number 1 plus number 2. And so now the steps that I have to follow is, all right, capture the input from the user. And then it's going to be add the 2 inputs together. And then it's going to be print out the result is the final objective. So now these are just comments. I haven't written any code, just written out comments. So now when I'm actually ready to code, now I employ tip number 1, very small bits of code for immediate feedback. So I'd say, all right, so the very first thing I'm going to do, the very first line of code I'm going to write is capture the input for number 1. That's it. And if I know that works, now I'm in good shape. So once that works, the very next step is going to be for, small bits of code. I'm going to capture input for number 2. So now I should at least be able to print out what's number 1, print out what's number 2. And then the next step is from that is, all right, let's start to add. Do I need to convert my input to an integer maybe? So let me write that code. So let me write just converting input number 1 into an integer and printing that out, or checking the type of that. Bring out the type to make sure it's an integer. So now I'm like 3-4 lines in. And now I do the same exact thing for the second number. And now that I know that my types are actually numbers now, they can be added. And now I proceed to the next step where I do the addition. And I make sure that there's no issues with the addition. And now, which automatically leads me to my last step of just printing out the results of that addition that I did. So that's what I mean by understanding the mission. Map out your game plan. You gotta be like a basketball coach where you're like, showing the play, or a football coach showing the play on a clipboard. So we're gonna do that. Maybe they use iPads now, right? But anyways, like boom, 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 boom. This is what I need you to do. But that's before you actually even step on the field or on the court. So that is what I'm saying, to understand the problem before you try to solve the problem. Capiche? Capiche. All right. So that being said, that was my number 2 tip to help you ease yourself into coding so it's not a very tumultuous journey. I don't want you to be like the children of Israel, wandering through the wilderness for like 40 years and stuff like that. For a trip you can do in 13 days, right? So that's why I'm giving you these little tips. I will end up making a fuller video where I am actually showing examples of what I'm talking about, right? So that is, that's my tip, right? That is my tip. Hopefully you found that helpful and informative. We are going to get to our last 20-minute segment. Aww. I know, I'm sad about it too. But hey, there are things to do. I have to take jiu-jitsu tomorrow morning, right? So that means I can't be on here forever. As much as I would love to be coding with you all night long. But Ferris will be live tomorrow, struggle streaming through coding, learning Python, but it is so enjoyable to watch. And he has this background music that is so smoothing. I'm telling you. I am telling you, all right? So let's get into our very last 20-minute segment of the show tonight.
It's time to do.
All right, so we're going to work on authentication for now, and then we're going to add our description, right? As far as the HTML, we'll figure that out maybe next stream or something like that. I don't know, because apparently it works for that person, but doesn't work for us. So I don't know. So let's get to it. Let's go to here. All right, let's go to. Let me open up my Postman real quick, just so I can see what type of authentication I'm. Oh, come on, you gotta be kidding me here. Let's go to. All right, there we go. Let me see. Oh, that's not gonna work. Let me go to Talend. We were using basic authentication. as a header. But I should be able to set up basic authentication. Let's see. Did we do that in? I'm looking at this over here, which you can do all this stuff for that other one. Tags, quotes. So let's do this. Let's mirror this, right? So title. And let's just copy this over here. And we can copy this license. Oops. And we have our servers. Although, should the servers be inside of info? Let's look at our documentation over here. Let's say advanced usage. Servers is inside of info, so we made a little bit of a boo-boo over here, right? So let's go and move servers inside of info. And let's see what else. Tags. Let's move tags as well. And then I don't think we need to do paths because the paths should be getting taken care of. I don't know what components are. All right. So now, if we were to start up this document, if we were to start up this again, and we go here and we open that, and see, it didn't auto generate. So if I go to npm run swagger, let's close this. And it says app.js not found. Okay, so we want, let's try that. Let me see. Cannot resolve app.js. All right, let's try that. Oh, so okay, so all right, I have the, cool. So this could work. Now, if we go back to here, it has all the details. Now, I wonder if we were to go to here, and we were to go to doc, still not found. Whatever. But it does generate it. I just don't know how we're supposed to get it as a web page. That's my only unhappiness, but that's fine. So if we go back, so the reason I didn't have to start up my Docker because I forgot. I have I have it set to point to the production database right now, so that's fine. And it updated this right here. So all right, cool. let's go and let's start to plug in some additional data over here. Oh, I know why it didn't. I know why it didn't work when we press play, because it didn't work when we press play because this is set to run this, as opposed to okay, I know what happened. So when we did the npm run swagger, we had updated the package.json to run swagger. So that actually started up the whole project. So when we did I still connected, but when we did the node autodoc swagger, it started up the application that way. All right, cool. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. All right. So let's get into let's go ahead into writing getting some descriptions and stuff like that. The first thing we would want to do is setting up our authentication. Is there any search on this? Because we would want to do, let's see what this generated. See, it doesn't have the authentication in there. So let's see. The authentication only talks about their auth. Let's go to the Swagger website so we can see how we're gonna. So basic authentication, components, basic auth. All right, so we would do. So this is how you describe it. So if we're looking at it over here, let me move this over. So I can see both. Components, some schema, security schema. All right, so I'm gonna try to set up this component inside of here. So we'll go into here, and then we should have components. We confirm that it's outside of inside of doc, outside of info. All right, cool. So components, and then we're going to go here. And now we are going to define that component to we're going to define that component to, so this could be here. We're going to say security schemes. And we'll go with basic auth. And we'll say type HTTP. And we'll go with scheme basic. All right. And then outside of components, we should have security. And then we should have basic auth, like that. So if we're reading over on the Swagger documentation, the first section, security schemes, define the security scheme named basic auth, an arbitrary name. This scheme must have type HTTP and scheme basic. The security section then applies to basic authentication of the entire API. That's not, well, we don't have it for the entire API. The square bracket denotes the security scope used. The list is empty because basic auth does not use scopes. Security can be set globally as in the example above or on operational level. The latter is useful if only a subset of operations. So we have this subset. But we need to, all right, so this part we can't use this yet. We would need to set it. So what we can do, we can run it to see if this is going to at least require security authentication. And then we can figure out how to set it in the actual path over here. Let's see how they do the bear auth. So inside of here, we can go to the path and then do Swagger security. So let's compare. I'm looking at over here. So we have security themes, basic auth, or spell it wrong, but I'll fix that. Basic auth, types, HTTP, scheme, basic. So that should work. And then when we go into the endpoint, we'll add the Swagger security, for example. And it's just going to be comments where we're going to be adding something like this in there. All right, cool. So let's go over here and we shall. Ooh, that might mess things up. Let's see. So we're going to I'm going to remove this one because this is not on the whole application. Or actually, I can leave it. Let's leave it for now and let's run it. That's not what I wanted to do either. So we want to go to terminal, npm run Swagger. Cool. So now when we open this output, do we have, what's this? So we have author. So wait, why do I have, all right, so this is good. So now we have our authorization and we can add in our basic thing. But this makes it available for everything, which is not what we want, right? So we're going to remove this for now. And if we stop this and we run it again, and we go over here and we reload that, we shouldn't have, okay, so I guess we do, but it is for, I guess it didn't really matter. So, okay, so now let's go into our routes and we can look at the documentation and it says anywhere inside of like this open bracket thing. So after we have our request and our response, inside of the squiggly brackets, we can add in a comment for the Swagger security. All right, let's try it. Let's try it. So we are going to go inside of here, and we're just going to go here. This is semi-auto generated, right? So we're going to go here. We're going to say, I guess we'll start up here. Swagger.security equals. I don't like that the formatting for this isn't clean. Let's say basic auth colon. Let's go like that. And that is on the get request. Let's just try it for the get request first, and then we'll see what happens. All right. So we'll stop that, and we shall run it. And if we open our Swagger documentation, why is there a get here? I don't think there should be, actually. So there's this one. I don't know where this one is from, but this one, let's take a look at this one. Try it out. Execute. What was the response that we got? 502 error bad gateway. What if we enter in the auth? Oh, that's cool. You can log in and log out. So if we were to cancel, try it out, execute, still a 502.
Lunch break. Lunch break.
So we're getting there. The last thing, so a couple of things to figure out with this is how to get the web page to generate. I think we'll spend some more time on this too. How to get the web page to generate. All right, so here we go. You see, our lock is here. Available authorization. I don't know why this one is necessarily here, but we'll figure that out. But I do think that I think this is.
Appreciate you.
Who is that? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for subscribing. I am happy that you are finding this information helpful and useful. But we are about to wrap it up. But so this is what I was looking for. So what we'll do, we'll continue with this next week because I'm really enjoying this. Because we're gonna have to define the authentication on this. This one doesn't have authentication. The actual random quote retriever on this one, and this one. And we have to figure out why. And by that time, maybe this will be in production. Not this part of the documentation, but the API itself will be in production. But we need to define, like, we need to add this to here, 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 and here, and find out why when we actually try it out. The available authorization. This says nothing on here. This is not good. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. Anything else? I think I just want to. I think there's one more thing I want to. I think I want to throw in a description real quick. So if we go into the one that we just did, and I go to this is tagged. So I'm looking at this is tagged. I want description. If I just copy this, I do Swagger description, and I add and I change. So what I just did is I put this in here, Swagger description, and I put this would be, why did I put it on this path? This would be retrieve all quotes from the database. So I copied this one to here, and I say this one doesn't have that, and I say, so this one I don't even need that, or actually no, I can leave that, and I say get a random quote by author from the database, and I can even throw in a tags. And let's throw in I did description. Let's say it's summary. Swagger.summary. This endpoint is used to retrieve a random quote from the database using the author as a query parameter. It is used to serve random quotes on the UI. All right, so let's do one more generation. Actually, I forgot to fix this basic auth. Now, maybe now that it's going to fix this one. All right, so let's go ahead and let's try to run it again. So it'll be our last run of the night. And if I go over to here and we refresh that, there we go. We have this here. So if you open this, retrieve all quotes from the database, that's good. If I click on this, I see, says the blind man. And we go here We go to, where's our random one? Ah, there goes our random. Oh, okay, quotes. Okay, cool. See default quotes. So we'll fix this up next week. But you see, we have a little description here. We have the summary here. We have a description. Maybe the summary should be shorter. So we're figuring it out as we go along. We'll need to add a query parameter in there as well. But it is, I'm liking it. And I especially like it because every time we start it up, it'll look through the whole thing and generate our documentation for us. So that's very useful. Let's see if we were to, oops, not that. Then that'll be it for tonight. So let's go to and authorize those. Let's say we try it out, execute. Still getting a bad gateway. We can investigate that to see what's going on. But we're making progress, right? We are making progress. Let's end it for tonight. Let's call it a night. Let's call it a night. It's been an amazing, amazing night. Great conversation, great topics, great coding, great implementation. I'm really, really excited about this. Once again, I do have to thank Heist King for the idea, the suggestion of using auto generation for Swagger documentation. Like Yukar says, no one does Swagger documentation like us.
I appreciate you.
All right. So with that being said, I'm gonna share my last tip. I'm gonna share my last tip, all right? And then I'm gonna wrap it up. And then I'll go through the comments and then we'll end it, all right? So what is that last tip? Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Make it work and then make it better. So what do I mean by that? What do I mean by that? So a lot of times, right? You know, sticking with the sports analogies for tonight. Where did it go? I lost it. Great. Hold on. That's weird. Where is my... Okay, there we go. So, tip number 3, right? Make it work and then make it better. So, I'm going to use another sports analogy, right? So, a lot of times, if you've ever played Madden, I remember when I used to play Madden, I'd just go to one play. I would just go to Hail Mary every single time and just lob it down the field to Randy Moss. That's how long ago I was playing Madden, right? Back in like 2000, 2002 and stuff like that, 2003. And just either playing with Michael Vick and run around and stuff like that, or throw a Hail Mary to Randy Moss, touchdown every single time. But in the real world, in the world of coding, right? You want to make it work and you want to make it better. So stop throwing Hail Mary passes, hoping for a touchdown. So, like very similar to tip number 1, which is breaking it down to small bits of code. I like to go for short passes, for short wins. I have 4 downs. I make the use of each of them. So, what do I mean by that? I might, in order to see if something is working, before I even think about using the variable, I'm going to hard code in place of where the variable would go to make sure I'm getting the right answer. And then once I know that I'm getting the right answer, then I am going to make it dynamic. So what do I mean by make it dynamic? So let's go back to my addition example. And eventually I'd want to pass 10 and 50 to get 60. But what I would rather do, like the way I'm going to approach it is, okay, before I even set my num1 variable and num2 variable, I'm going to say, all right, if I know I should be getting 15, if I pass 5 and 10, I'm just going to set, all right, 5 is the first number, 10 is the second number, I should get 15. And once I know that that formula is working correctly, small bits of code, now I'm going to say, all right, now what if I was to change 5 to be X, or not X, but like num1 variable. So now when I say, all right, so that means whatever I pass to num1, adding to 10 is what I should get. So I say, all right, so now I'm already testing in small bits and pieces. I'm writing the code in small bits and pieces, understand what my problem is. And I'm saying, okay, now I have my hard-coded variable. I replace my variables with hard-coded numbers or whatever. And I say, all right, cool. I'm going to actually be using a variable for the first number. I'm not even thinking about the second number yet. That's still hard-coded as 10. So if I pass 7 to num1, that should give me 17. I don't care if if I'm getting the right answer for the overall thing. I'm going into small incremental plays. 4 downs. Maybe I get 3 yards on the first down. Maybe I get like 5 yards on the second one. Maybe I get another 2 on the third one, on the third one, and then get the whatever is remaining, get that on the fourth. And I just go down the field strategically, right? Doing those screen passes. I remember I had 2 plays. I take it back, Mitch. I had 2 plays. I had the Hail Mary and then I had the screen passes. So it either be Hail Mary or I do a screen pass and then try to run it, right? Always to Randy Moss though. Always to Randy Moss. Never to anybody else. I would only throw to Randy Moss. And he would always catch it, right? So with that being said, that's what I mean by like, so now the short pass. So now that I know that whatever happens with, I pass the first variable, I'm always getting the right answer. Now I can move on to the second variable where I'm passing, I have the first variable, I have the second variable, I'm getting the right answer. So short plays until I make it all the way down the field. And that's how I hard code the variables to get the right answer. And then once all that's good, I start making it dynamic, I start expanding, and now everything is working as I want. And I have a much better, smoother learning experience than like just trying to like throw Hail Marys, trying to just throw everything at it and like going at full force. To relate that to when I'm doing jujitsu is I have a very methodical approach to where I'm watching everything and I'm like, all right, if they move this way, then I do that. I'm not going at full force, just throwing everything at the person, because a lot of times, especially the newer people, and you know what, this might relate to coding a lot, because the newer people, the like brand new white belts and stuff, they will use every ounce of energy and strength in their body, and then 30 seconds later, they're gassed out. 30 seconds later, they're gassed out. That's why I'm very slow and methodical, and I pick my opportunities, and I go for those short passes, run plays, and then sometimes you break out, and you sometimes you can actually, because you like once you do a fake, they think you're gonna do one play, and then now Randy Moss is wide open down the field for a easy touchdown. But you have to slow down. You have to slow down and stop throwing Hail Marys, hoping for a touchdown. Get those short passes for guaranteed victories. All right? All right.
Oh, yeah!
All right. So that is the last tidbit of information on how it can be a lot smoother for you getting into learning how to code. You guys, let me know what you think. Do you think, am I missing? I mean, I'm sure there's many other tips, but what do you think about those 3 tips? So the first one, learning for, the first one is, small bits of code for immediate feedback. Then the second one is understanding what you're trying to solve before you actually try to solve the problem. And the number 3, stop throwing Hail Marys. So make it small, make it like be very, very strategic, right? So that being said, I'm gonna read the chat real quick and we will wrap it up for tonight, where you guys can have an amazing, amazing night. All right. So let me see where we are at. Let's see. Go through the chat real quick. Ferris says, how you remember things in your project, days or weeks when you haven't worked on it. Referring to me? Because I'm always working on my project. When I don't work on it, then I do forget. But when it depends on a project, I always if it's learning something, that's different. But if I'm actually working on a project, I have either a Jira board or a Trello board or whatever agile method. It might be either a Kanban or a Scrum. So when I'm working with the Tech Barbarians team, that's a Scrum we're going through. And then when I'm working alone on the mobile app, then that is a Kanban board that I'm going through. So I might not come I work on my things actively, but let's say I didn't. I know exactly where things are at, and I just pick it up from there. I might have to get reacclimate myself with the code, but I know exactly where I'm at with what I'm working on. So that is how I do that. It says if I take a day off of the Python, it's all gone. Oh my goodness. I hear you, but you'll be fine. And we had your car coming back in with the Kobe emojis. Shout out to your car and shout out to Kobe Bryant. And Ferris says, YOLO. He is just going to throw that spaghetti at the wall. He doesn't care how dirty that spaghetti sauce gets the wall. We're just throwing it out. And Mitch says, you are a one-trick pony. Hail Mary every single play. Hey. It was a screen pass or it was a Hail Mary, all right? I corrected myself. And Ferris said, by the way, what's the difference between a developer and an engineer? So a difference between the two would be they like for the most part they do the same thing, but I would say the engineer can be a little bit more, or supposed to be. Some companies they use it interchangeably, but engineers is supposed to be like more on the innovative end, building things, and developers are more like the ones who would be like given the direction and they go out there and they build based on the direction that they're given, while the engineers are the ones who are leading the innovation and creating, but they're also building, but they also do a lot of the innovation as well. So that would be like, I mean, at least that's what the breakdown was from before, but they're kind of used interchangeably though. And your car says, can we do a flea flicker instead? Why, certainly we can, but I'll tell you this though. When I would try the flea flicker play, sometimes it would work, but sometimes like that linebacker would just come around the side and just crush whoever was doing the flea flicker, and then it would be a fumble, and they'll pick it up and they'll run it back. It was just a whole mess.
Bruh.
Tell me about it. And so Mitch says, engineers do more of the testing of the system. Oh yeah, it could be. And this is what I was saying, right? Like about the innovation. So whenever you hear engineer, think of problem solver. Yes, that's what I was thinking. Sometimes we use interchangeably, but I would say more on the innovation side, more on the problem solving side. Like you give us a problem, we'll give you a solution. While the developers are like, you give us a solution and we'll write the code from my experience. And Mitch says, screen pass, throw that in the trash. And says, I would have locked you up. Quick, call me Ray Lewis. Okay, I got you. And it says, your car says, I'm like Deion Sanders. But do you remember, there was this one game that I remember where Minnesota, I think it was a Thanksgiving game, Minnesota was playing Dallas when Deion Sanders was in Dallas. I think it had to be like 96 or something like that, maybe 98-ish, something like that. And they never lined up with each other. I think they might have lined up with each other once, but the pass wasn't thrown or something. I don't know. But everyone was dying to see Deion Sanders on Randy Moss, and they never delivered it to us. And Mitch says, prime time. All right. And lastly, so Mitch also says, he's asking, how do you do different projects every day? Come back for example, if you do one Monday, you don't go back until next Monday. That's what I was wondering, if he was asking me or if he was asking in general. It's you just have to be organized with it. Write comments in your like write to-dos, write comments and stuff like that. I always like fill myself with to-dos on, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that. And then have a very clean agile board, whether it's Kanban or organized agile board, whether it's Kanban or whether it's a Scrum board with sprints and stuff like that. So you can always like know where you're at. It's all about organization. And Ferris is a very, very organized person, to be honest with you. And it says, we all said engineer first. and it says, I said problem solver too, but in my own way. Yes, you did. And your car says, Moss. Oh my God. Don't bring that up. Shut up. I just remembered it. Like, I was like, everyone was dying to see that, and it never, ever happened. And anyways, that's it. That's it for tonight. You know, I don't want to get your car riled up. It's already like, it's 7:07 for your car over there, and I don't want to get him riled up because he has a very, very busy day, a busy night, busy day, like just busy all around. So with that being said, we're going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys had an amazing time hanging out with me, watching me work on this, this generating API documentation. I had a great time. Hope you did as well. But before we go, I have my question that I have to ask to you, because I had a great time. But how about you? How about you?
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
I am very, very entertained. And Mitch wants me to remind you that Saturday, we are going live Saturday morning, where we are going to do the men's lie, men lie, women lie, numbers manipulate, which is generously hosted from the chat by Yakar and Mitch. I am just the face providing the information, and they are providing us all the little details. And I try to make it easy for us over here, because we are like, Yakar and Mitch are so well versed on this information. I just try to break it down for us to make it a little bit easier to understand. So that is what's happening Saturday. Don't forget, tomorrow we have the bug bite coming out as well. All that good stuff. So something every day for you as always. And now with all that being said, especially Mitch bringing up Saturday, you guys know yesterday's price is not today's price. Today's price is not. Yes, it is not tomorrow's price.
One more thing. Price of the brick going up.
The price of the brick is going up. But on that note, this is Tech Coach Ralph. And we are out.
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts. Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again. Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.
It doesn't matter what you think.